All right, it's time. Thanks for coming, everybody. My name's Ingy.net, and today I'm going to be talking about a new syntax that I hope gets into Perl 5 core. It's a new syntax for assignment. So let's get going. I love coffee, and by coffee, I mean coffeescript. I'm going to show you some here. Okay, so here's a CoffeeScript program. To me, CoffeeScript is one of the languages that has the highest signal-to-noise ratio. Being a YAML guy, I appreciate that, less syntax. And so anyway, here's defining a array of 2 hashes. CoffeeScript actually credits YAML for some of this stuff in their documentation. Here's a for loop down on the bottom, and it's going to, let's run this thing real quick and see what it does. So it's really simple. It's gonna, So it's gonna print out 2 sentences. Ingy wears yellow and drinks coffee. Gugad wears blue and drinks tea. I actually used to live with Gugad, and he drinks a lot of coffee, but he also drinks tea, and I also drink tea, so you know. Let's look at the code again. Hello. Okay. So the really interesting thing about this is an assignment statement spread over several lines. It didn't have to be, but it is for clarity. And so on the left-hand side is a data structure. Is that weird to anybody? Anybody? So so what it's doing is taking whatever's in person and unpacking that into these variables using this key name and this key name and this position and position for an array. So, and it works. So this has been in CoffeeScript for, so there's it in one line. I'm pulling out 2 keys, name and faves, and then the first 2 elements of faves out of person. Okay. So the code it's replacing code like this in one line instead of 3. So this is called Destructuring assignment, and I first saw it in CoffeeScript 10 years ago. It's a way to concisely unpack a structure into variables, unpack, and lets us write more concise and readable code. So now JavaScript actually has it. JavaScript doesn't credit CoffeeScript for all the things it stole from it, but about when ES 15, 16 came out, they didn't take enough of the great stuff that CoffeeScript did, but they took a lot of it, and they should have given more credit to CoffeeScript, in my opinion. Anyway, let's look at JavaScripts. So this is kind of the same program, shortened. And here we have a destructuring assignment statement. We're taking person and grabbing name, drink, and color, and then console logging, which is print in JavaScript for that. So let's run it. Just make sure it actually works. No tricks up my sleeve. It works. Okay. And let's compare these 2 programs. So I made a slight change to this line right here. Instead of creating a variable person, I didn't need to do that. I could have right in the for each where I am looping over person. I can just put the destructuring assignment data there. So it's looping over everything in people and destructuring it into these variables without assigning it to another variable. Yeah?
Are the names of the variables you're assigning to related in any way at all to the names?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a great question. For hashes, it uses the name of the the question was, are the words in the destructuring assignment have anything to do with the keys or the positions of the things that it's destructuring? And absolutely. So for hashes, in this case, it would take name and faves, which are the 2 keys, and assign them to the local variables names and faves. It actually doesn't do faves. Faves is just a way to get to drink and color in this case. But that's a really good question.
So you could have called that in the first constant food, which is what? Oh no, it's a key.
No.
Never mind.
Yep.
Take it back.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And let's run the second one and see that it still works. Okay. So Coffee actually is better than JavaScript because look at this. It's unpacking something in the middle. So it's taking the first and last thing, or the first two things in an array, the last two things, and everything else it's going to put into the array M. And let's run this and see what it does. So see that? It got 1 and 2, and then this array 3 as M. That's what I'm printing out here. A, B, M, and Y, and Z, and then 9 and 10. So that's pretty cool. Let's do that in JavaScript. And it's an error. It says the array thing has to be at the end. Bummer. Should have taken more. Node. I'm telling you. Okay. Here's another language closure that I've been using lately. Also has great destructuring all over the place. It's a Lisp, but it's actually doing destructuring in Lisp, and it's not so bad, right? Let's run it. This ran good in the REPL. For some reason, the sentences are there, but they're formatted a little different anyway. Couldn't figure that out. Oh, and then I just backed out of my slides. Sorry about that. Okay. So closure has it. I asked an AI which languages have it, and I asked for the first 20, and it gave me these 20. It said more had it, and Perl's not in there. Bummer. But now Perl has it too, and that's what this talk is about, right? So, and it's way better than the others, as I hope you'll see. So it's on CPAN. Look at the web page real quick. Here's the doc for it, and I made a list of all the things that I want to do in the doc and all the things that I have done so far. Here's, but I'm going to show you all these forms. They're really cool. So some of the simple stuff works now, and I was spending so much time on those other 2 languages that I talked about on Tuesday that I didn't get to, but it's a work in progress. Let's see. But it does work reliably for the things it works for reliably. So, yeah, so here's some Perl, kind of the same thing. You take notice how faves here doesn't have a $ in front of it, because it's just a way to get to drink and color. And we'll see that it could have a $ later. And so that's going to generate this code, or it's going to be the same as writing that code. Sorry, it doesn't quite generate that code. So let's look at the whole program here. So I use 5.16, so I can use say down there, and strict and all that stuff. I guess that's 5.18. Anyway, so I have a use assign $0. I'll explain that in a second, why there's the $0. And then we have a data structure, very simple Perl, and then loop over it, and we do destructuring. And as of about an hour ago, Gugad's been helping me on this, and I'm like, that one doesn't actually work. And he's like, okay, I got you, man. So, darn it, there we go. Go on. Okay. So Perl, run that, and it works. Okay, halfway, thanks. Let's see. This next slide is for Ovid. He said, show me something that's like more real use. So I don't know if this is more real use, but let's look at it. Okay, so I had the AI generate me a big JSON data blob. And so this would be some Perl where you assign a JSON thing, and then I guess you would have to parse that. Sorry, I didn't quite do that. I wrote this about 3 minutes ago. But here, it's the same thing, right? But you're destructuring it from JSON into local variables. So I think that's pretty cool. It's a little bit bigger, more real world than a snippet. Hopefully you appreciate that. It's okay. All right. So the basic rules are use $0 because I want to get this into core, and if I'm going to make a bunch of mistakes, so I'm going to do iterations such that if you're using this in production code, it'll keep working the way it was in 0 or 1 or 2 or 3. But when it if it finally gets to core, you can use assign, and that's the way it'll be then when P5P, if we can get them to decide to use this, we'll use that. Up front, you have a my, our, local. You can have none and pre-declare your variables, or you can kind of have inline, like here. You can define a my or our inline. The left-hand side always starts with square brackets or curly braces, and the right-hand side must be any expression or variable or literal that is an array ref or a hash ref appropriately. And I want this to work everywhere that assignments are. So, assignment statements, obviously, looping variables where you say for my, blah, blah, blah. You should be able to do that. And in function signatures and that kind of thing. We'll see those examples. Okay, so I'm going to just blast through some forms here. Here are the array forms. This is basic. Here we're going to get an error because on the right-hand side, it's not an array ref. Let's see. It's behaving a little badly, but let's see. Okay, so but the third one there is okay because I'm just unpacking this, but when it gets to this part, this is an array ref, and it's going to unpack 2 and 3 into B and C. This is going to take A and B off the front and unpack the rest into an array. This one, but you usually probably want an array ref for C. So this is how you get A, B, and C as all, you get the rest of stuff into $C as an array ref. Here we do it in the middle. So we take the first and last thing off, and then we put the rest into an array ref B, $B. Here we take 2 off of either end, and we do the same thing. Here, we're just going to ignore the second one. So we get A and C. It's the same as putting undef there, but it's shorter. I couldn't really use @sign underscore because that's a thing. So I just use @sign for kind of silently getting rid of everything in the middle. Sorry, I'm going to have to make this a little smaller. All right. So preview. Let's just get to the bottom of it. Okay. But $_ you can, and it doesn't make it my $_, it just uses $_. That's a special case. Here we skip over 24, literally. Here we skip over, we take this, skip over some, take another one, skip over some, take another one, skip over some. So those are some of the array refs. Here's some hash stuff. So we're going to take A, B, and C. We've covered that. Here we're going to nest it. So we're going to take A, and then B is going to point to an array ref, and we're going to get the first 2, B1 and B2, into those. On this one, we're actually going to do the same thing, but we're going to also have $B point to that array ref because we also want to do something with that. So we just added a $sign in front of B there. Here we are going to rename. So we have key in A and B, but we want to actually pull them into the variables foo and bar, but C is just going to go into $C. Yeah. Let's see. Here we're going to require A and C, so we're going to throw an error. Thanks to Ovid last night for asking what happens. I thought maybe that would be a good way to do it. Here we are going to use weird keys that are actually going to load into, it's just going to change the keys to underscore variables. It's a sugar for that. These are just all ideas that may or may not, in 0 they work, maybe they won't live. Here's how you get all of the keys out of a hash ref. Here's how you get all the values. Here's how you get all of the keys and values in one statement into array refs. Here's how you get them sorted. Instead of curly braces, I use square braces around the whole thing, and they got sorted. And here's some new, crazier forms. So for all of the assignment statements, it should work, including not just equals, but / equals and all those kind of things. Here, sorry, tell me what that does. Oh, I'm just looping over, I'm sorry. This is using it in a looping context. So I want $A and $B for every hash in this array, this list of hashes, right? Here, I want that for everything in a hash of references. Here's a typical statement. So every subroutine that takes a hash as a value could take $self and then unpack that hash like that into the various variables you want out of that blob coming in. Here's the same thing done with function signatures if you're using function signatures, which are kind of a new thing. Just move them up into the function signature. This is kind of cool. So you do a regex and you get the match and the capture. So now it works like other languages that usually return an object and their matches. So that's pretty cool. And this is the last one. This is putting some named transforms and curly braces over, I want that, but I want to actually reverse it. Or I want to, do something like that. I want to join all of the middle stuff into one string separated by dashes. So anyway, those are all the examples I have so far. I'm sure you guys, we can all think of 1,000 more. And we're going to be way better than any of those 20 languages you saw. So the current implementation is a prototype, but it's a usable supported prototype on CPAN. You can use it. It uses filter simple and PPI now. And Ovid thought that was a good choice for getting stuff in front of the P5P to evaluate it. Good God, thank you so much for all your help while I was trying to do too much for this conference. And yeah, so it was good to hear Ovid talk yesterday about how you get stuff in front of the P5P. And I talked to him last night, and he said, well, I think he said, we were drinking some whiskey, but that you'd help me get this. That does make it true. And so any help and guidance from anybody that likes this stuff, who would like to see this maybe in the core language? I would, for sure.
All except that last slide.
Okay, well, fight for it. And anyway, yeah, it's that's the GitHub repo, and it's on CPAN. So thank you very much. And I think we could take a couple minutes of questions, yeah, if anybody has them. Yeah.
So I don't know if I missed it, but is there a module that you can download for this now?
Yes, it's called assign.pm, lowercase ASSIGN. Yep.
Ooh. The Federal Trade Commission just opened an investigation into OpenAI.
Oh, damn it. I might be doing this from jail, but Carl just pointed out that the Federal Trade Commission just opened an investigation into OpenAI.
Whether the chatbot has harmed consumers.
I think it helped me. Get this, yeah, Ovid.
Yes, I did tell you that I would offer some guidance on that. I've already got a few ideas which will help with that.
Okay, Ovid says that he would help me, and he already has some ideas how we're going to railroad this in. So
He asked for wisdom, not just guidance.
I cannot offer wisdom.
Yeah.
Carl points out that Ovid, I asked for wisdom, and Ovid said he can only offer guidance. So anyway, let's party. Yep.